Tonight, our very special guest in the studio is Australia's most successful karting champion, David Sera. Also, we meet a few of the rising stars of the ASBK Supersport Championship, Nick Liminton, Aidan and Jack Passfield. It's war on and off the track in this year's ASBK Championship, with tyres playing an ever-increasing part. Who will be the winner? The rise to the top has to start somewhere. We find out about the Oceania Junior Cup and the road to being a champion. That and more coming up on Let's Talk Motorsport.
Second place, that goes from the E-plate.
Well, as you can see, we've got a full bank of show tonight to keep you all entertained. But first, let's move on to our first guest. And I'm a big pleasure to welcome one of Australia's leading and legendary kart drivers, Dave Sera. Dave, thanks for joining us and welcome to Let's Talk Motorsport.
Yeah, look, thanks very much for having me, Braxy. It's exciting times.
Now, with the new show, we're going to have a lot of new viewers and stuff, and obviously there might be ones out there that don't know much about your backstory. So tell us a bit about your history, and with 18 national championships and 56 state championships, you know your way around a go-kart and a go-kart track.
Yeah, so look, my dad started kart racing back in the mid-80s, 1980s, and then I was born later on that decade, 1988. And so basically it was a family-orientated sport for my dad. Him and his brother got involved, and then my cousin James got involved into the sport. And then in 1995, I had my first race in kart racing at the age of 7. And then from there, obviously, I've been racing for now 25 years. And as you said, been able to win 18 Australian championships, which is the most in the history of the sport. So the karting has been really great for our family bonding. We've been able to travel to country circuits internationally as well and compete against some of the best drivers in the world.
Now, when did you realise, I asked this question to a lot of bike riders as well, they get good and very successful. When did you realise that you had a little bit of talent for the sport?
Oh, look, for the first few years I was pretty average. My dad used to sort of have a go at me quite a fair bit on the track. So he was my coach when I was growing up. And if it wasn't sort of done right, he'd be telling me with a few explicit language, you know how it is. So yeah, it was basically like, if you want to have fun, we'll just keep having fun. You can just go about it at your own leisure. But if you want to do it seriously and be competitive, these are the ways to go about it to hopefully succeed. So I won my first Australian championship in 2000. So that was probably when I was age 12 or 13. Yeah. And sort of then it was the stage where you thought, you know what, maybe we've got a little bit of talent here. We did put in a lot of hard work as well. So it wasn't just I had it naturally, because, like I said, it took about 4 or 5 years before I could really get that major title.
Yeah, yeah. So then it just went on from after the first one, you thought, well...
You get the confidence as a kid, I suppose. Like I said, I was racing Victoria, and it's always strong competition in Victoria and the main capital cities. We travelled across Tasmania, which always has a fun state championship race at the end of each year, but there wasn't many mainland drivers that actually tackled those races just yet. So my dad thought, look, we'll probably go over there just to try and get not an easy win, but just try and get some confidence up, whether it's a podium or so on. And I was fortunate enough to actually win the whole event and actually lap most of the competition. I probably had superior equipment compared to some of the other kids in Tasmania at that particular time. But that was a confidence boost that I sort of needed to know that I could actually do it myself. Like I said, you get a lot of punishment being, doing things the wrong way. And that was that first reward of getting the trophy, getting on the podium, and just feeling that, that pleasure of winning a race.
But you also, your dad used to race as well, didn't you? So it wasn't as you had a bit of an interest, I suppose, and an idea of what was to be had because of he was racing as well? Yeah,
correct. So Dad was racing competitively in the 1990s, and he was racing alongside Marcus Ambrose, Jason Bright, sort of guys who've gone to make into supercars, and he was competitive in his own right. He won 4 or 5 state championships against some pretty successful drivers. And yeah, you're just sort of watching, your dad or your family drive. You're walking around the pit area, so you're seeing these Jamie Whincups and Will Davisons. At the time, they're just, a kart racer as well, like what I was hoping to be one day. So they're the sort of guys you're mingling with in the pit area, and you're just sort of learning, you're listening, you're observing. And obviously when I had the chance to do it myself, thoroughly enjoyed it. There's not many sports where you can get that much adrenaline at age 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, and it's similar to the bike racing where they do that, and with the cars that leads into the senior categories and everything. So when did you have your first sojourn overseas and think, okay, we're going to have a crack? Was it New Zealand or did you go to the big boys?
Yeah, so I won a race in Australia that gave us the opportunity to race in Japan. So that was sponsored by Yamaha at the time. That was supporting a particular race at Tide Road in Port Melbourne. And I was fortunate enough to win that race, which took me over across to Japan. So you're racing for a factory Yamaha team. I was at Yamaha headquarters in, I think it was called Sumigaoe in Japan, not exactly sure. And that weekend I was fortunate enough to win the competition. So yeah, first international race.
How old were you then?
It was in 2005, so 17.
Yeah.
And then from there we tried to tackle into Europe. Very hard for an Australian driver to race on tracks that you don't get accustomed to. More flowing tracks. So yeah, Europe was quite tough to originally begin, and we had a lot of success in the USA later on.
Now, moving on to the present time, you're not racing as much as you used to. You'd be lucky to be, 32 years old at
Yes.
the moment, almost retired, but you're putting a lot back into the sport. We can see you Sera driver train, driving academy, driving development.
Yep. Yeah, so look, I've just sort of moved my focus now to coaching the next generation of stars. I got my big break from starting at a very young age and learning the techniques from the get-go. So I'm trying to pass that knowledge that I've learned over my 25 years of racing and to put in these kids that are between sort of 7 and 14 years of age, because drivers start at all different ages. Some of the kids that I've been able to help, Anton De Pasquale, who's now in Supercars with the Penite Racing team. Bryce Fould, have helped him out a little bit. Joey Mawson, who went over and raced in Europe last year and has won some races in GP3. So there's some of the kids that I've coached in the past, and we've got a small race team now that goes around to the Australian Kart Championships. But yeah, so my focus now is on the kids rather than on myself. I have a bit of fun every now and then.
So what's the state of Australian kart racing these days?
Yeah, so look, the top end of the sport, Australian Kart Championships, it's very well supported. We're sort of looking at about 300 entries for the upcoming Australian Championship round. It's over 5 rounds this year. So, the cost involved for those 5 rounds is up there a little bit. It doesn't cater for everyone. The grassroots of the sport, we've got our club races, which every club has a club race on the last Sunday of the month. That's not too bad. The junior ranks are quite well supported. I suppose the club racing can be a little bit more populated for the senior ranks. But people have different commitments these days as well. So it's sort of hard. But you go from club racing up to your statewide championships, and then obviously the national rank, which is that 5-round championship.
Yeah, so is there any shining lights coming through now? Like also the fact of finding that pathway. You said it was hard to get overseas. Is it more important to stay here and see if you can get picked up, or is it still that dream to go overseas and compete in probably a very hard competitions? Yeah,
look, I suppose kids have got either Formula 1 aspirations or they've got vet supercar aspirations. So if you're going to stick with the supercar route, you probably want to stick with Australian karting for a little bit longer, and then obviously move towards your Formula Ford racing and then into your Dunlop series, and then obviously into the main game. So we're fortunate with our team now to be aligned with the Penite Racing Erebus Academy team. So we're trying to provide a bit of a pathway for these younger kids to start mingling with the drivers, the media crew, the engineers, to learn about the data from a very young age. So when they get to that 13, 14 age bracket and they're looking to move outside of kart racing, it gives them a little bit more opportunity. So obviously if you go into the Formula 1 route, which there's only 20 spots on the grid, there's not many opportunities for these young kids, but they go to Europe at probably about that 11 to 12 age bracket to get a bit of a head start in the European racing scene. So it must be, well, we won't even get into the Formula 1 bit at the moment, but with what you're doing with the academy, with the Erebus, are you submersing them into the pits during race meetings and things like that? So for now, Anton has come to a few of our races to support and mentor the kids, which is a great bonus for these young kids who are, like I said, between 7 and 12. They watch these guys on TV on any given weekend, and then these guys are now coming to a kart race to support these young drivers that are under our race team. So it's a great sort of confidence boost and a lift for these young kids to get some support from Erebus and Anton De Pasquale. We've done a few of the open days with the guys at the race factory in Dandenong. That's been cool to sort of mingle with fans, just to show off our karts, kids to sort of sign some autographs and take some pictures with some random people and the fans there, which has been nice. And then one of the engineers comes out to some of the races as well to go through the data with the young kids and for the parents.
How do you keep their feet on the ground? Because, you know, kids, they get excited. As you said, they all want to be moving in to be another Jamie Wynn Cup or even a Daniel Ricciardo or whatever. But you've got, out of all those kids that are racing, we all know whether it be 2 wheels or 4 wheels, that there's only going to be a very small percentage that make them. So how do you keep their ego in check and also aim them to, like I said, keep the feet on the ground and show them the focus that there's still a lot of hard work to go. It's not just going to unfold in front of you.
I suppose you try and explain to them that you don't have to always be a driver to succeed in motorsport. There's plenty of other roles that can be filled, whether it's an engineer, you know, a mechanic, a team manager. So there's, I bet half of that pit lane in supercars wanted to be a driver at some point in their career, and they just found their way into, like I said, whatever it may be, an engineer or a tyre pressure guy or the pit crew. Yeah. So we're just trying to, you know, obviously the main goal at the moment is to be a racing driver. So it's fantastic. We're trying to give them the key ingredients to learn from a young age. But if they can't be, they can take up uni or TAFE course, which provides them more opportunities rather than that 24 spots on the grid.
We'll be back right after this break.
Take a wild ride trackside. World Superbikes 2020 February, Phillip Island. 2-wheeled supers riding wild at 300 k's per hour. 3-day passes come with paddock access. The buzz of Park for May. Paddock show fun. Camp on circuit for the great mates escape. A massive weekend away. Tickets camping at Ticketek or worldsbk.com.au. February 28th to March 1st, Phillip Island. World Supers for a wild ride trackside.
You're giving these kids an opportunity and like a dream and an aim and to follow their passion into the bigger classes. How come your name isn't synonymous with the success you had on karts? How come did you have a crack at tin tops?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to actually drove with the Cali racing team back in around 2010. So I had a contract with the supercar team to be a test driver. I didn't have any prior driving experience. It literally was a go-kart into a supercar. So I remember going to a test day at Winton with Todd and Rick Kelly. It was a fantastic opportunity for, I think I was about 18 at the time. I was very nervous, obviously, having a drive a supercar. They gave me a passenger laps.
Especially in Winton.
Yeah, no, they gave me some passenger laps alongside Nathan Pretty. And I just said, look, I'm not ready. There was 15 cars on the track. There was the Mark Winterbottoms and sort of those other high-end successful drivers, and I just knew straight away that it was going to be a big ask coming from a go-kart to a supercar without the key ingredients in between. So I did get some laps at a later date when there was less cars on the track in a supercar, and it was fantastic to have a drive, obviously, but you need to learn the Formula Ford driving, you need to learn those other key ingredients, and it's a big financial expense to go through those ranks. So I did do Formula Ford racing, and obviously I've driven a supercar before, but that's sort of where it fell apart because I didn't have the commercial backing, which kids need to sort of look at a lot younger age than what I did.
So has that given you when you sat back and looked at that, you thought, well, hang on, this is what's inspired you to get into the junior development and think, well, if we can set up a pathway and then they don't have to tread that rocky road and find out the hard way, they're going to find out the hard way, but it would have been a lot harder by themselves.
Look, I think, from my experiences, you need, like I said, that support earlier on, which I got when I was sort of 18, 19. And the sport has just taken a bit of a turn where it's sort of supporting the higher end. So the parents that can afford to get their kids into motorsport are throwing a lot more at it these days. Hence why I'm trying to, coach them from a younger age, get the key ingredients. If they can pay for it later on down the track, half their luck, they can drive at a great level. But kids just need to focus on the commercial side of things a little bit earlier, which is going to be hard for a 12, 13, 14-year-old driver to be able to do. That's why you need that support base of parents, business partners, and friends of friends to make it sort of a whole package deal.
Yeah. Do many in the big pitch with the Australian championships? Do you have overseas drivers tempted to come out here and have a bit of a dip as well? Yes,
it's been really well supported, the Australian Kart Championships. We've got drivers from Asia that come over to race. We've got our New Zealand counterparts. They come and travel, and also vice versa. The Australian drivers travel to New Zealand as well to compete against their nation's best. So I think they've also had some drivers from Canada and USA for one-off races here and there. We've got a very high level of competition in Australia, as we can see from just motorsport ranks in general. We've got Daniel Ricciardo, you've got Will Power that's been successful in IndyCar. Obviously now Scott McLaughlin's going to try and drive an IndyCar as well. So obviously he's from New Zealand, but we've got that New Zealand Australian drivers are very capable because they've been learning on tight, twisty technical circuits from a very young age. They've had to work hard for it. So I think that's what we've got to stick towards rather than going to these fast-flowing circuits that anyone can just hold their foot flat and just steer a car. Yeah. But you need to make it physically demanding, bumpy circuits, try and make it challenging for the younger drivers to learn the hard way, and then things only get easier from there as they progress. I
saw you at the bend a while ago on a dual meeting. How's the track over there? How's that stack up? Because the track that Sam Shaheen's built for the cars and the bikes is magnificent. I presume he would have replicated that with the go-kart track as well.
Yeah, look, there's no expense spared at the bend. We don't have many facilities like that, obviously, in Australia, so we're very fortunate to go over to the bend to race. The circuit's very fast and flowing. It's wide, so it's the racing will be intense. There's a lot of slipstream involved with that circuit. But yeah, look, it's a very flat circuit. There's no real bumps to it. I haven't actually driven it myself, so I don't know if it's the most challenging circuit. From what the kids are saying, it's predominantly sort of fast flowing, flat out from the majority of the lap. But yeah, we're very lucky to have, a pit lane, a nice viewing facility, a nice canteen. Like I said, it's a beautiful circuit to be at. Our first race has come up for the Australian Kart Championships. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Now, you said you haven't driven that track. Do you still get out and have a steer occasionally, put the helmet on and get the red mist going?
Yeah, I get excited on some of these coaching days when some kids complain, some teenagers, they say that their kart's not handling or something. So I just like to try and get in there and see if there's actually any issues in the kart or the engine. Set a benchmark lap time those guys can try and work towards, improving their own driving. So yeah, I'll probably compete at maybe 1 to 2 races a year at the bigger races in Las Vegas. There was a New Zealand Nationals that I tackled last year. Got beaten fairly easily from the New Zealand drivers. So there's some quick kids over there. But yeah, look, I don't put a lot of effort into my own racing anymore. I just try and do it more as an enjoyment now.
So is it now a profession what you're doing?
Yeah, so full-time driver coaching and running a race team. And there's quite a few more race teams that have popped up in the last 10 years, the way the sport's changing from a motorsport pyramid. So yeah, predominantly now is just coaching, and running a smaller race team between 5 and 6 drivers.
All right, well, let's talk about getting into the sport, because hopefully there's a few people out there that are watching and wanting to do it. You spoke about the cadets from 7, 9 and 12.
Yep.
Talk us through that, and also how the older statesmen, like middle-aged or 30-year-olds, want to get out and they've got some money in the kit and they want to go and have a steer.
So I think most of the kids who are starting have had to go to hire kart or something like that, and their parents think, you know what, my kid's actually not too bad at driving a kart. The best way to sort of get involved is by going to the Australian Karting website, so karting.net.au. That gives you your base of your club memberships, and to see which club you're actually located near. We've got about 20 circuits in Victoria. There's a handful in New South Wales. There's quite a lot in the Queensland region. But it's trying to find your local club and then just speaking to the club members there, and you're getting your licence. Once you've got your licence, you've basically got full reign in regards to just going to practice whenever you want. There might be some practice fees involved, but that's how I learned, is basically just by going to the track, once or twice a week. Because you look at football training or netball training, they're out there for a couple of hours from a young age just to get in the key ingredients along the way. And it's going to be the same when you're driving at upwards of 100 k's an hour for a 7-year-old, and you've got to try and tell them to hit a certain braking marker, accelerating marker, apexes. There's a lot going on that you can't replicate unless you're actually driving a kart.
So with the kart that you're doing, with your driving, with teaching the kids their time, with what would happen with an adult coming on board? Would you pull them aside and go?
Yeah, so adults, obviously we've still got very competitive classes for the adults. They've got sort of electric start karts nowadays, so it's very easy to go to the track, unload the kart yourself, turn the key, it's a water-cooled engine, and away you go. That's a tag-restricted class. And then once you sort of get the experience, and if you want to compete at the higher level, all you have to do is just pull the restrictor out, and away you go. You're in the same package as what I would be racing against you. So that's probably the easiest way for an older statesman to jump in. They've probably got the more bad habits along the way, whether they've learned them from previous racing experience or on the road, they've sledged a few blokes and they think they can actually do it better than what they may do on the karting track. But yeah, so we cater for between 7 and even up to 60 years of age. Really, kart racing can cater for anyone in between. Yeah. And like I said, it's more from that leisure point of view. If you want to take it seriously, there's those options. But karting should just be a fun, affordable motorsport. That's what it's basically designed to be.
So participants, have you seen a growth in participants from when you started to how many people are actually going to meetings these days?
No, there's been a decline, there's no doubt, from the mid-90s to now, 2020.
Why?
The cost it's just become more professional. So I think a lot more people now are wanting to make that career out of it. Previously, people just go out on a weekend and just literally burn up some fuel, burn up some tyres, and just have fun with their mates.
Yeah.
But also now, family commitments, there's more emphasis on family commitments, so less time on people's hands. Just cost of living has gone up as a whole, so your hobbies take a hit as well, where karting is seen as a hobby for the majority of kart races. Yeah. So that's probably why numbers have dropped. But as I said, we're focusing a lot on the professionalism, which is great for the image, but it comes at an expense as well. Yeah. So we've got to find that balancing act between providing a great image, showcasing it to world karting, that Australia is here, we're producing some great drivers, but we've got to find that middleman and sort of make it affordable for every Tom, Dick and Harry who can just jump into a kart and be sesuccessful.
But I've got to ask, do you play guitar?
I don't. The hair gives something away, but yeah, I've got surfing, I get the rock star, but nah, I'm not talented in any other area really.
But anyway, mate, hopefully you can join us again on Let's Talk Motorsport, and thanks very much for coming on and being a part of it as we launch this new show. Yeah,
thanks very much.
That was David Sera, one of the legends of Australian karting. He'll be back on the show and we'll have more kart personalities on and off during the episodes of Let's Talk Motorsport. In the meantime, we'll take a quick break and be back with more action here on Let's Talk Motorsport.
Coming up, ASBK Supersport stars Nick Liminton, Aidan and Jack Passfield. And it's war on and off the track in this year's ASBK season, with tyres playing an even bigger part. Who will be the winner is anyone's guess. Well, 2020 for the Australian Superbike Championship in the Supersport class could be one of the most highly contested and closely fought championships we've seen in a number of years. A couple of riders left. Tom Taparis, the champion from 2019, has gone overseas to chase his dream in the World Supersports. But there's a whole group of young kids that are coming up, and they're going to be battling each other in street fighting at every one of the 6 rounds of the ASBK. With one of them now going third last year, Nick Liminton from South Australia. Welcome back, Nick. The number 27 still being run and you're still on the Yamaha.
Yeah, it's still going. It comes around quick, doesn't it? We got 2 nice refreshed R6s for this year. It's looking really positive. Lots of confidence going into the season. Should be good.
Now, like I said, do you reckon it's going to be one of the closest fought championships? Because you got Brock Pearson coming in, you got Ollie Bayliss, there's other kids coming up. Maxie Stover's going to be a fast learner.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough this year, I reckon. Every race is going to be neck and neck. It'll be very good though, I reckon.
So what changes have you done to yourself, and what have you taken out from last year to bring into this year to step yourself up?
Oh, we now have 2 perfectly refreshed R6s, so they're identical, so if I crash, ruin one, I have a second one to jump back straight onto, because last year we had a very old one, so half the season I was riding a pretty old bike. This year, 2 fresh ones ready to go.
So that's a bit of extra confidence for you? Definitely.
Yeah, we're feeling good. We want to be winning races. That's our goal for this year. And yeah.
So winning that race at the Bend last year, what has that done for you as well?
Huge confidence boost, that one. Hopefully we can do it again this year. It's good. Tom's overseas this year, so it'll be a bit easier, but everyone else will still be quick.
Yeah, there's not too many people in this pit box.
No, yeah, it's just Dad and I. We got Tony doing the mechanics, but yeah, that's it.
And mate, how has it been since you've overcome, well, not everything that a 16 or 17-year-old go with testicular cancer?
Yeah, no, it was a pretty big scare, that one, but luckily I'm 100% back to full fitness, ready to go. Hopefully we're just all clear this year, get you to a full season.
Was that something that has given you a bit more confidence for your life? Because you think, if I can overcome something like that, I can do anything?
Yeah, true. It does give you a bit of confidence at the end, but yeah, I'm just happy to be back in the paddock, to be honest.
All right, so will you be happy with anything else except a win this year?
Yeah, no, winning is what we want, but it's going to be tough, that's for sure.
And have you got any new sponsors on board?
We just got Yamaha helping us out massively this year, and a lot of others, but yeah, Yamaha's number 1 at the moment.
All right, mate, all the best.
Thanks, Baxi.
I've said before that the 2020 Australian Supersport Championship is going to be very highly contested and very hardly fought over. These are two of the guys that did it. Aidan Hayes, who finished 4th in the championship last year, and Jack Passfield, who finished 6th in the championship last year. They share garages, but once they get on a track, look out. There's no friends, no loss. But you guys must be really champing at the bit this year, because Tommy Taparis has left, and if you took him out of the equation last year, any one of you guys could have won a race.
Yeah, definitely, especially towards the last 2 rounds, we definitely picked up the pace. So both of us, so yeah, we're definitely keen to get back out there and start racing this year.
So where's the link of sharing garages and friendships and competitiveness on the track all start?
We're both from Sydney, home track is Sydney, so we do a lot of ride days and stuff together, and then just at the garages, you may as well hang with a mate, and but yeah, it's sort of gloves off when we're on the track, but we know sort of, you know, we do actually look out for each other. Everyone does on the track, so it's good. Yeah.
Now, with you, Aidan, Jack has been pretty consistent, but you basically had a year off in 2018. Were you disillusioned with it all, or just broke?
No, yeah, I was a bit disappointed in how I was riding, and also I took a year off and renovated my house and did a bit of stuff at home, and then built my own bikes and came back. But yeah, I was missing it. I was watching it at home all the time, wishing I was there, but definitely happy that I did it, and I feel a lot better on the bike that I'm on now, so it's really good.
So what did you do to rekindle it? And obviously a year off, your brain's not up to speed, your body's not up to speed, and all the rest of it. You're not race fit.
Yeah, there's a lot of training in the off season, and just working at it. But the biggest sort of thing that we had was trying to work with the suspension last year and really get it sorted. And by the end of the season, we really sort of felt like we were there. And so this season, we're hoping to be strong all season, which will be good. And
how much difference has it made going from being with the Cube Racing to running a completely own setup? But do you feel more comfortable doing that?
We had it was really good at the Cube setup. Everything was well there. I just struggled on the bike, as you know, just my own riding, and since doing our own, like, there's a lot of things that are definitely harder, but I learned a lot from being in the team and got a lot of knowledge from them, and they still help me if I go and talk to them, and so it was a big step, but I think it was a step that we had to do, just to try and chase our own sort of setup and team, which we've come out, on top of where we want it to be, which is good.
Well, I know it's going to be a great season. I'll come back to you in a minute. I want to have a chat with Jack, but you're sort of the quiet achiever. You come off the dirt track, you went through the 300s, got a couple of results, but then you've come into the 600s, and last 12 months you really started to find your feet.
Yeah, definitely working with Stay Upright.
Is that Wayne Clark?
Wayne Clark especially, and a couple of the other guys that have been there basically from the start. They've got heaps of knowledge, and we've just continuously been working on it and slowly edging our way to the front, and I feel like we're really there to give it a good shot this year.
What changes last year? Have you got a point where you think this is where it happened and your head was starting to get together more, or was it just a progression?
Yeah, I sort of figured it out on the old bikes, and then we switched to the new bikes, which was a bit of hard to get my head around, but now we definitely got it sorted out, and yeah, just every time we come, they pick on a few little things where I can change and make better, and it's just working so far, so it's been really good.
And last year and the year before, for that matter, because we had Crilly and the factory Yamaha in 2018, Tom Taparis last year, they were always a little bit up the field a bit, but how much did you learn by dicing with them at different parts of the year?
Yeah, definitely, especially the last round, getting a few laps in behind them guys. It really helped push to that next level, and feeling that edge on the bike really allows you to get there a lot more often, which is really good, and feel comfortable at that pace. So yeah, having them here definitely helps pull all of us up to pace.
So has this got to a stage between you two that now you're sharing garage, the first one you got to beat is each other?
It definitely is nice coming in and being in front, but we always muck around about it, and it's good.
Plenty of bench racing?
Yeah, there is. No, it's good. It's good rivalry in the garage.
Now, who do you, obviously you two 4th and 6th respectively last year, you obviously want to step it up. Who do you reckon is going to be your main obstacles?
I think Ollie Bayliss is going to be strong again. Probably Nick Liminton, but I think there's going to be a dark horse in Max Stauffer. I think he's going to be on the money when it comes to round 1.
How much have you noticed on track with him, or you haven't seen him out on track much?
I've seen him practicing at Wakefield, and I know he was quick there. So I was pretty surprised at how quick he was when he came here straight away. It's such a different track, but he's got a good coach in his corner.
Just a little one, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll really be on top of everything. So no, it'll be good.
And I'm looking, you're rather resplendent today, Aidan. You've got your pink unders on. You've got to give us a look at them. Have a look at this. Look at the colour on that. If he was wearing them out, you wouldn't be able to see. You'd be blinded in your helmet in your dark visor. But I've noticed you've got a new leather company, a good Aussie company that's just started.
Yeah, we've got Peregrine, which is Craig Carroll, and we're really trying to get it out there. And the suit, we've just got it today, and it's perfect. It's fit, exactly how we wanted it, and it's feeling really good out there. So now we're going to hope it brings my times down even further.
Well, let's hope so. You've still got the old Shark ones on?
Yeah, definitely. They're the same. They fit perfectly, and I've been happy with them from the start.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you bashing bars and bashing heads in the next 6 rounds of the Aussie Supersport Championship.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
And you too, Aidan. You're always looking resplendent. Good to see you.
Thanks, Brax. We'll see you around.
No worries, guys. And keep an eye out for these guys. They're going to number 42 and number 46. Check them out on the aspk.com.au website as well during the telecast live of every round of the Australian Superbike Championship. It's going to be a real tyre war this year in the Australian Superbike Championship. One of the guys I'm going to talk to is the Pirelli product manager, Garry Crilly. What he doesn't know about tyres isn't worth knowing about. So let's get a bit of the nitty-gritty about 2020. Garry, first up, are you relishing the challenge of having another manufacturer in there? You've got Dunlop with more riders in there and Michelin coming in to take it to the Pirelli?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. We've got Michelin involved in the series. They've been out for quite some time. They're back in. They've got a good product. We know they've got a good product. So it's going to be game on for sure.
So will that mean that you'll be knocking on the door of Giorgio Barbetti, the head of Pirelli worldwide, to get some bags sent out here pretty prompto after the World Superbike testing?
We've done our homework already. We believe we've got what we need. For sure, I've spoken to Giorgio. I'll be talking to him again at World Superbike, and we'll see what's available from there and just see how we progress in the first few rounds of the series. I don't want to overreact, so we'll take our time, make sure that when we do make a change, it'll be the right change.
So by saying that, you're starting off the season with what you already know and then moving on as you go?
Yeah, so we don't want to change too much for the start of the season. We know we've got a good product. We've proved that. It's World Superbike spec tyre, so we know it's the highest level. So I think to start with the season, we'll go with what we've got and then make a change as we need to.
What, when looking, everybody's always, whether it's bike performance, rider performance or tyre performance, what has Pirelli been focusing on in a couple of years to improve their tyres?
I think durability is the biggest issue. Well, not an issue, but that's the biggest focus. To be able to do a consistent lap time from lap 1 through to lap 15. So that's sort of where we've been working for the last couple of years. Make sure we've got the right speed, but also durability to get right through the entire race. How
much has that improved in recent years, percentage-wise, you reckon?
I think we've improved probably 4 or 5%. The drop-off's been very minimal. You always get a little bit of drop-off, but as long as we've got the bikes are set right and we've got the right setup with the tyres, it's usually 3-4 tenths maximum over the entire run.
Now, how do you, when you're in a situation like this where you've got a heap of tyres, okay, you've got the 0s, 1s and 2s and everything and the X's, every rider's got different riding styles, different needs, different demands. How harder is it these days when there's more, the tyres are more for general across the board use, when you've got so many guys, especially at the calibre of what the ASBK's become in the last couple of years?
Look, I think we're in a quite a fortunate position because with obviously using World Superbike spec tyres, Pirelli being the control tyre for it, they've done all the hard work for us. Their tyres have got to fit every brand motorcycle out there. So as far as riders, it's just a matter of getting the rider's head right to use the tyre.
All right, mate. Well, hopefully we'll keep it. Well, we will be keeping a close eye on the tyre wars because we know what wins on Sunday sells on Monday.
Yeah, for sure. We're looking forward to the challenge. It's going to be a great year.
That's the best way to finish it off, Gaz. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Well done, Braxy. Thank you.
Robbie Budgen, Motorsport Manager at Dunlop Tyres. A big year for you guys by the look of it. You're going to be very busy.
Yeah, absolutely. This year's going to be the first season that we've got the full range of the KR 108s and KR 109. So we're pretty excited about it. We've got some very capable riders using the tyres this year. So I think we're going to be competitive. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the year's going to bring.
So just tell us about these new tyres. What's better than them, and go through it, construction, compounds or whatever?
We've got the full range now in the rears. We're using the KR 108s. They're an EU tyre, the tyre that the guys in Europe run around on. They've had a lot of success over there with them. So we've got the full range here now. We've got the compounds from 0 to 2, 0 being the softer and 2 being the harder. So we've sort of got a tyre that we think is going to work on every circuit that we go to. It's quite a challenge, obviously. Our season starts in the summer, goes across the winter, and then sort of back into summer. And we bounce between some pretty wild tracks between, say, here, Wakefield Park, Tail and Bend. So it's definitely a challenge to get that combination right. But we've put a lot of time and effort in, and we think we've got it spot on.
So what's been the catalyst that you've got these people coming over? Because last year you really only had BC Performance in there. Then now you've got, well, you can name them because save me going through them all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess it's probably a combination of things. I think, if you look pretty closely at the results last year, Brian done a really good job. And, a couple of times he didn't quite get the result. But if you go through the lap times and where he was strong, it shows plenty of promise. And the guys who look at the lap times pretty closely could see that. And, like I say, we've now got the full range together. And, it's looking like it's going to be a good season.
So did guys come to you like the Josh Waters, the Daniel Falzon, and say Jed Metcher as well? Is it?
A combination of both. I still keep in touch with a lot of these guys, prior to taking on this role, or no matter what the tyres they were using, to be fair. But so I'm always talking with a lot of the guys throughout the paddock, and they knew what was coming, and they're pumped up for it.
Have you done any testing yourself? Because you were pretty handy on bikes back not so long ago.
I haven't, no, but it's probably not out of the question. But no, for the moment I've been pretty tied up with this side of it. So I will, but for the moment I'll stick with doing what I'm doing.
All right, mate. All the best, and good to see that there's going to be some really good tyre competition.
Yeah, there really is, and it's it's great to see. It's another element that we can all follow, and looking forward to it.
Like they say, what wins on Sunday sells on Monday.
Yeah, well, let's get the winning part done, and then we'll worry about the rest.
All right, mate. Robbie Budgen, all the best.
Thank you. Cheers.
The Oceania Junior Cup is off to a flying start in 2020. We'll be back in a moment to find out what's it all about and meet a couple of the up-and-coming stars.
Let's Talk Motorsport was created to share local stories and events to all motorsport fans. In-depth conversation is what it's all about, so if it's bikes, cars or karts, you'll hear about it here on Let's Talk Motorsport. And you can send comments and questions to Mark and the team on Facebook and Instagram.
We all know that passion for any sport starts at a young age, and no more so than in motorcycle racing. The important thing is to get them when they got the passion, nurture them and turn them into the champions. And that's what's slowly happening here in Australia. Junior racing has been a big part in Australian road racing for a number of years, but at the end of 2018, Motorcycling Australia took the reins of it finally and took it all in-house instead of private promoters busting their nut trying to do something for the sport. MA have taken over, joined forces with Moto Stars, one of the leading junior training and supermoto categories in Australia. Proprietor of that and the boss of it, Damian Cudlin, is also one of the head ganger in the Oceania Junior Cup. Damian, I think I hit that in a nutshell, but with the MA taking this over in the last 12 months, we've seen what a proper organisation can do with getting the juniors lifted in the profile.
Oh, you can see it, can't you? I mean, not only is it some of the best racing, I think, of the weekend, because the format that they've got with the Yamaha R15s means that parity is paramount. You know, the kids are all on the same equipment, and they've all got the same gear to work with, so it invites close racing, which is awesome to watch. And of course it means that the kids are learning a lot in terms of racecraft as well. Really hard to get away from the pack in this class, and that forces them to learn some racecraft. And I forget sometimes when I'm talking to them that they're only, some of them 11 to 12 years of age, you know, because there's a lot of wise heads on very young shoulders. But I suppose that's my job, is to, you know, part of this program is not just the opportunity to showcase their skills, but also an opportunity to learn, and that's sort of my role. I guess with my experience, I'm trying to pass on as much of that as I can to the kids, and give them the best overall learning experience possible.
Well, saying that, what have you learned in 12 months? Because it's a pretty, we've been talking over the last couple of years about different things, and certainly a steep learning curve to go from what it was to all that investment by Yamaha and MA and everybody else, Recondi Leathers, everybody at Pirelli, everybody that's come on board, AGV helmets. Yeah,
look, absolutely. It's been a big job to get all of this put together, and I think MA should be proud of what they've done in order to get all that together. But, you know, it's been also boosted with some of the feeder classes that we've got at MotoStars too. You know, we start with them at 9 and 10 years of age, and that's acted as a great feeder. You know, a lot of these kids are familiar to me. I mean, I've trained every single one of them now that are on the grid here. So that's been a good boost for the series as well. And, you know, I think it's only going to get stronger. What I've learnt, honestly, in the last 18 months is that I think there's just as much talent here in Australia as there is in these countries that seem to be dominating at the moment, like in Spain and Italy and Germany and so on. There's just as much talent here, I can tell you. The problem has been in the past that they haven't been exposed to it early enough. And now they are, and that will make all the difference. It might take a couple of years for these kids to be well-known sort of household names, but I can tell you they'll all come from here.
But saying that, we've got the Oceania Junior Cup for the one-make R15s, but you said about the juniors from 9s, we've still got the Australian Road Racing Championships for the 70s and the 85s as well. Yeah, look, I mean, we start them you know, training with us at our coaching and practice days at MotorStars as young as 8, you know, get them out there on little KO 150s and little Metra kits and, you know, 2-strokes, anything with 2 wheels, to be honest with you. They can bring their dirt bikes along and fit them with road tyres, and we get them out there learning the skills, learning the discipline, and, you know, getting the passion for road racing. You know, there's not many that come to me and do a day with us and say, oh, you know what, I didn't like that much. I mean, the mums and dads are always, you know, shaking my hand and thanking me at the end of the day. I said, don't thank me yet. You know, you'll probably be cursing my name in years to come, because the kids all get hooked. And that's you know, that's what it's about. We're going to get more bums on seats and more kids out there doing it. And with more kids doing it, you know, there's more of them pushing each other. That's raising the bar again. And I'm sure that we'll see champions, future champions, come out of this class. Now, you said mums and dads. I've had experience with mums and dads. You've got 27 kids here now. That means 54 parents. Yeah, look, I mean, it can be a challenge at times, but look, I've got to say, the majority of the parents are absolutely fantastic to work with, and, you know, I've actually made some really good friends along the way, and some of whom have helped with the series and helped in other ways, and, you know, they all want the same thing. They want the best for their kids, and sometimes in competition that can mean a little bit of rivalry, but that's healthy too. As long as it, as long as they keep it all under control and keep it professional, which is our job as well, sort of to, you know, set the ground rules and so on. But that's what we do at the start of the year. This is the first test for a few kids. There's a few that have stayed on from last year, but there's a few that are new to it. So we've got to sort of set the ground rules and introduce them to the system that we work in. I mean, it's a big program, mate. You know, if we don't have a system here, it's just chaos. So that's part of professional racing, and that's kind of what we're getting them geared up for. We're essentially giving them a chance to race like a factory racer would. You know, you turn up here, your bikes are provided, your gear's there, and you know, you've got a certain place to be at a certain time, and we start that with them now, so it makes it easier for them later on. All right, well, no doubt we'll be talking to you throughout the year with the 6 rounds of the Oceania Junior Cup, and also your Supermoto as well, and the Junior Road Race. That's another project you've got. No doubt we'll be talking more about that during the course of the year, but all the best, and I don't envy you one bit anymore, mate. Nah, good on you, Braxy. Thanks, mate. Cheers. Well, we just talked to the boss of the Oceania Junior Cup, Damian Cudlin, get his views on it. Let's go to the grassroots of it all and have a chat with a couple of the youngsters. One that's been around for a couple of years, it's his second year in the Oceania Junior Cup, and one that's making his debut in the series for 2020. First, Marianos Nikolis. Welcome back, mate. You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, keen for the year to start. The test has been very exciting, but started off good. The track's mint. The weather's good. There's no wind, so yeah, getting some good results today, and hopefully to improve on those times.
Now, you've done a lot of racing before. It's not as if you just started road racing last year. Tell us a bit about your history at all. How old are you? 13 years old.
12 years old, yeah. Started off at 9 years old with Motorsport with Damian, my coach, and slowly improving. And yeah, now to Oceania last year and then Oceania this year. Last year at the end I achieved to win an Australian title on the 85cc two-stroke, and yeah.
What was it like at Eastern Creek last year, finishing the year off the way you did?
Yeah, it was a good way to finish off the year. Pole position, 2 wins and the round win, but yeah, it was very good confidence, and yeah, can't wait to try to repeat it again.
How much confidence is it giving you that you're broken through and got that monkey off your back?
Oh, can't explain, no words can explain how much confidence it's gave me, but yeah, it's just bringing that into the new year and positive.
All right, stay there, don't go anywhere. We'll go on to Hayden Nelson. Your first year in it, Hayden, what are you expecting? And, well, first, before we get to that, give us a bit of a background on what you've done in racing.
So I started racing when I was 4 at the Old Bar roadside dirt track.
Got a good pedigree there at Old Bar, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a few champions have come out of there. So, yeah, and I started racing there from 4, and I progressed my way through dirt track to loose track, and I've made the transition to road racing, which is very exciting.
How long have you had the dream of going road racing?
Since I was about 6, I decided that that's where my idols went, so I think that's a good pathway to becoming a champion. So.
Have you got any carrots from your parents that you got to do well at school or else you don't go racing?
Oh, for sure. Mum's cracks down on that. Got to do well at school. Got to get good reports, otherwise no racing.
That's a good way of looking at it. Now you've jumped on the R15. How many rides have you had on? Is this your first day doing it?
So we had the tryouts at Broadford, but this is our first official ride in 2020 on the bikes, and positive feelings so far. And the track's really good, and it's exciting prospect.
It's not bad after going to Broadford and then you come here to Phillip Island, the best racetrack in the world, where you're going, how good is this when you first went out there this morning?
Yeah, it's amazing. The level of grip and the surface, it's very, no bumps or anything. It's very pristine condition, and it's really fun out there.
So what's your aim for the year?
I'm just aim to do as well as I can, and yeah, see what comes of it.
All right. Are you going to be asking this guy for any tips? And actually, are you going to be giving him any tips?
Oh, I don't know. Competition.
So this is your second year, Marianos. What's it like in this paddock? Because normally when you're doing the dirt track and everything, everybody's away doing their own little thing, but here everybody's together.
Oh yeah, road racing, and especially the Oceania Junior Cup, we're all together. It's sort of like an academy. We work together, and yeah, it's very friendly.
Is it hard to keep your focus on school?
Oh, here and there, but the teacher gets a bit angry that I'm always at the racetrack.
But you'd rather be at the racetrack, wouldn't you?
Definitely.
And I know by your number that you got a certain hero, so I suppose you want to follow in his footsteps?
Oh, definitely. He's a true star.
Go on, tell us who it is.
Valentino Rossi. I hope he goes good this year. And yeah, let's see how he goes.
All right, guys, all the best for the year. No doubt we'll see you during the course of the year, but all the best in chasing your dreams, eh?
Thank you.
And you too, man.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Keep an eye on these kids and keep an eye on the other 25 kids that are part of the Oceania Junior Cup. Be live on asbk.com.au and also on SBS and Fox Sports during the year. Keep an eye out for them. Hi again. This is a message to all club members, clubs and promoters of events anywhere in the world where you may be. We want to hear from you. If you have any events coming up, please email us at this address so we can put it up on our weekly motorsports events calendar. After all, you might have the best event in the world, but if no one knows about it, how are they going to go and see it? So let us know so we can let everybody else know here on Let's Talk Motorsport.
Now, let's have a look at what's coming up on the Australia Motorsport calendar for February. The last weekend in February is massive, with 5 events across the 3 disciplines in 4 different states. First up, we've got round 1 of the Australian Kart Championships at the Bend in South Australia. On the same weekend in Victoria, what a double header. We've got the first round of the World Superbike Championships and the first round of the Australian Superbike Championships. Then, for New South Wales car fans, we've got the Motor Race Championships at Wakefield Park, and also in Queensland at Morgan Park, we've got the first round of the Sprint Challenge Series. Certainly a bit for everybody. It's a matter of deciding which way you want to go, but all in all, there's going to be a lot to talk about on Let's Talk Motorsport.
Join us next week for our very first live show. And while we're live, we'd like you to join the conversation via Facebook or YouTube chat during each of the live shows. What you have to say is important and we want to hear it. Next week, our studio guests are ASBK contenders Wayne Maxwell and Mike Jones, and our exclusive interview is with 5-time Superbike World Champion Johnny Ray. Can he do it again in 2020? We'll have his thoughts on that and many others, so don't miss it. Until next week, it's bye for now.